Hey guys, so in this video I want to talk about spectral leader specters and my attempt to build around them, but they are new specters, but they are based on the old spectral tacticians. Essentially these specters summon raging spirits, and I believe they are using old version of summon raging spirits, which does have a limit of 50 per specter, but they are using alternative minions, and the biggest problem is that they do block themselves. They do have like a hitbox. Like normal raging spirits do not, I believe, block themselves, and there is a limit how many minions can surround one target. And as you can imagine, yeah, summoning that many raging spirits with these specters is kind of useless, because you can summon like something like 400 raging spirits in theory, but only around 10-15 of raging spirits are going to be doing damage to a single enemy. And they are not your minions, so you cannot directly support them. So my idea was to have many auras and have many debuffs like curses. So I was going with Guardian. Guardian does have those special relics that provide like level 27 anger, hatred and wrath auras to all allies, and then run with the Dodger skin and have five courses and then one mark, and then just buff my courses, buff my auras, and hope that the damage would scale. But as you can imagine, yeah, it didn't really scale that well. The thing is, I have a feeling that single target could actually be okay. It is a ramp up time, because it takes time for them to start summoning and then them to kind of start, well, ramping up the damage. And because this is Guardian, it takes a bit of time for those relics to appear, and they don't last very long. But once you summon a bunch of those raging spirits, those relics are like kind of permanent. As soon as they disappear, you get a new one. There are a couple of things that I tried to overcome this problem. There is a limit how many minions can surround the target. So one thing I tried giving behead to specters and hope that that behead gets transferred to their minions, but it doesn't appear to be working. I tried using Ancestral Cry. Ancestral Cry, if I can find where I have it, it does give melee strike range to allies. Well, it gives to you, but if you have the new keystone Warlord's Call, you cannot exert attacks, but Warcries also grant their buffs to nearby allies, which does work in a sense. I don't think that it helps. It's really hard to tell, but I tried to observe the damage and it didn't really help much. Now, I was using Mute Wind Pennant, which, as you can see, it says Call to Arms. But I think that's just a text error. It is like if you try to hold Alt, it does have the same lines as the new Warlord's Call node, and even in Wiki it says that it's Warlord's Call, but in game it shows still Call to Arms. But I think it is working, because Call to Arms is a support gem, and it wouldn't make sense just Call to Arms with no like level or anything else. And I did try to socket the Warcry inside it. It's definitely not Call to Arms, it's the new Warlord's Call. So I was using this to test Rallying Cry and to test the Ancestral Cry. Ancestral Cry should give that buff to all allies, up to 0.6 meter melee strike range, but I don't think that it did help. You probably need more than one, I think, 1 meters, because I believe the small skull like hitbox or the size is around 1. So if you are next to a target and another minion behind it needs to have strike range more than the size of that minion in front, you know. So it would need more than 1 meter extra strike range to reach over that minion. I assume. It's hard to tell. Another thing, I tried to use Rallying Cry. Rallying Cry already gives a buff to all allies. Up to 20% of your weapon damage is added as flare damage, and it also has 100% more effect on your minions. So those raging spirits are not my minions, but I was thinking maybe if I give the whole buff effect to the specters, maybe they would include that more effect on their minions. But I tried using that and I couldn't really tell the difference, so I assume it wasn't really doing much. I was using this weapon at that moment because I didn't really have any better weapon one-handed with more damage. It's hard to tell. It did seem like we were doing a bit more damage, but that's probably because we were getting up to 20% of this weapon as flat damage, which isn't very much. Another thing that I was told you can use is the pyroclast, I believe, mines. It does provide some kind of aura which does give flat damage to allies, something like that. But that's another ramp up time. You will need to wait for spectres to start summoning those raging spirits, then you would be throwing those mines to get the damage. Like clear speed wise, it's horrible. It's very horrible, but single target wise I feel like it probably could have some potential. But yeah, I'm not gonna be continuing this build because I don't want to spend over 10 minutes clearing a map. And I was mainly clearing with the Sentinel of Radiance because this is Garden, so I just dropped that and pretty much just move around and clearing with this and dropping this effigy to apply curses. So this is obviously not finalized version, but I will include path of building import code in the description with this build kind of rough draft, not even plan. Like raging spirits here are not correct, and spectres, the path of building does not have these spectres, so I did not like include those spectres. But normally you would go to raise spectres, manage spectres, and then find them on the list and add, but they are not in path of building. By the way, the difference between Spectral Leader and Spectral Tactician. By the way, Spectral Tacticians can be found in these areas, but Spectral Leader, I believe, tier 17 maps, or from All Flames. I believe some of them can spawn these monsters. The difference is that Spectral Leaders have 20% action speed aura with 2-second downtime, which is very nice. I believe if you give them duration, it should be 100% uptime. I actually do have increased duration support gem because that should affect the Raging Spirits, and you can see it's 100% uptime. By the way, they do not stack. I just have 20% action speed and not 60. Yeah, and then the normal Spectral Tactician just have some kind of revive ghost. I'm not even sure what that is. Yeah, like everything else is pretty much the same. So the Spectral Leader pretty much just have this action speed aura, which is actually very nice for overall minions, I guess. As you can see, the aura size is not that large, but again, single target it would be sufficient, I assume. So they are more like a support specters, not really damaging specters, because those raging spirits just don't do damage and you cannot directly scale them. So yeah, I specifically made this build just for this idea, and yeah, it's not really worth doing. So I don't know what to do next. Actually, I'm struggling this league so much with what builds to do. All the builds that I want to play that I had fun in the past are struggling with damage and survivability this league, and there are other builds that I could play but they're way too expensive, or just something doesn't work anymore, or something like that. So I don't know what to play. I already played over 1,000 builds, so I don't want to really do the build with just like pretty much no changes. If you got some interesting build ideas, always leave them in the comments below. Or actually, I do have a Discord which is open. I'm gonna leave a link to the Discord. It's an open Discord now. We pretty much just talk about PoE and sometimes about some other games. But yeah, for now, that's gonna be it for now. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.